Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Gerald, Waddell, Ryan Binse, and Sebla Demirbas. Welcome to you all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Hello.
Yes, of course. So I have you all on today to talk about your brand new found footage horror project MKHEXE. Congratulations. I've watched it twice. I think you've created an incredible film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
absolutely. Let's see. So I think it's fresh, scary, innovative. It's like nothing I've seen before. And it's about, let me check my notes here to make sure I get this right. It's about an urban legend of a failed government experiment that leads to very dire consequences. And I'm going to leave it at that to kick it off. Let's jump right into it. My first question for you all is, how did Project MK Hex come about? What was the inspiration for this fantastic, frightening film that you've created?
I'm starting to feel like this question is kind of like, or at least my answers to this question are kind of like,
Mhm.
um, do you know how I got these scars? You know what I mean? Because a lot of different things went into making this, or at least inspiring this. What I will say is, you know, we were looking to make kind of our first feature out of graduate school. This is the one that kind of got we were able to snag kind of funding for. And then once we kind of had that idea and we had that script, it was really about like doing the idea right. So, as a kid from who grew up in the 90s, I was very big into kind of, conspiracy theories, UFOs, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But, you know, as I grew older, I also have lost a number of like friends to mental health issues. And so it was kind of the merging of those things together. On top of that, there's a bit of an artistic, I would say, response to found footage movies. As a person who, you know, kind of came up in the video and like pseudo documentary marketing world, as to, I guess, stretch what you can do with like a found footage movie.
Yeah, push the boundaries a little bit, and I think you did with this. Like I said, it's like nothing I've seen. And there are some difficult themes. You mentioned losing some friends to mental health issues. There is a suicide component, or at least a questionable suicide component in the film. And there's also some very dark urban legends that you cover. Ryan and Sebla, before we move on to something else, do you want to talk a little bit about how you got involved and the ideation process for this film?
So I was finishing up my second year at AFI, and Gerald and I had been talking for a bit about potentially working together, and so we decided to do kind of a test run and did a short film together, and we decided, all right, well, he gave me the script to MK Hex, and I read it, and I was like, I really am not sure what it is, but I get that it's going to be crazy. And
Oh my God. Yes, it's so good. Yeah,
and
keep going.
I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then Sebla was helping out with us for about 2 days, and I was like, she should be a producer. And she ended up killing it. Sorry, I'm taking her thunder now, but she should say more.
I was hoping you would. You told this story last night too.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I think it's go ahead, Seba. Were you going to say something else?
I mean, I feel like it all happened pretty organically.
Mhm.
We all found our spots. I
Yeah.
want to add something. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jerry, but I also remember certain discussions about found footage as a genre when we were prepping for the film. And one of the questions I remember you asking multiple times was, who edits these found footage movies to be scary?
Right.
Yeah,
So like
that's a good
the
question.
the idea that like, okay, so a bunch of people disappeared, and you found some tapes of like their disappearance and you've edited those to be scary. Like it didn't, there was
Mm,
kind of a logical like leap that didn't really make sense to me there. And when you look at a kind of actual like found footage documentaries that aren't horror but like based on reality, kind of like Werner Herzog's Grizzly Man.
mhm.
Um,
Yes.
what he does is, even though he's telling the story of the characters, well, the people, because they're not characters, the people in the footage, he's added his own like narrative spin, his own thesis, and his own bias into it. So, kind of thinking about it like that, there was an opportunity I felt um, to kind of explore, like, okay, what if we had a protagonist who was editing their own feature, and we kind of added that like authorship back into kind of the found footage film. And what if
Hmm.
they had, again, kind of like a thesis and a bias. What were they not seeing, but that we, the audience, could maybe see? And one of the things that kind of influenced that was kind of taking a look at like outside of found footage horror, kind of like true crime documentaries, right? Because usually, like in a true crime documentary, even if they don't know who quote unquote did it, they have a thesis. They're people who are usually engaged in the story or in the events, even if they're
Hmm.
observers. And you know, that kind of then led to another thought, which is kind of like, okay, well, like, if you look at something like cosmic horror, those were usually written as like epistolary novels, like Dracula's an epistolary novel, but there's also
Hmm.
like short stories where it's like journal entries, other things like that. And usually by the end of it, the author, the protagonist has lost their mind. Oh, wouldn't that be a cool opportunity to try to reflect that back into like the edit of the film? Like what would the edit feel like as it's falling apart if as the person's losing their mind? And oh yeah, if I'm dealing with suicide, then there's something kind of unanswerable about that, which kind of reminds me of cosmic horror, and it's all kind of, connects that way between all these different things.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And it all comes together so well. And it does sort of, I don't want to give anything away. It does sort of start to fall apart a little bit in the end. But then there's also like the mystery behind like this higher power that starts to come into play. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just giving some praise. I don't really have a question there, but I do have a question next. So you talked about the editing process. Gerald, can you say a little bit about the writing process? And then, because as I don't think I mentioned, Gerald, you wrote and directed Project MKHEXE. What was it like writing the script and then translating that to the final product that we have?
Um, it was a challenge
Mm,
in a number of ways. One,
Sure.
it took me kind of a year of false starts to kind of get the
Mm,
script going. Where it'd be like, okay, I'm writing, I wrote 30 pages for a class in graduate school. Then, I kept
mhm,
trying to pick it back up, pick it back up, pick it back up. And as Ryan said, we were shooting another short film, and there was kind of a 2 week waiting period between like when we had done kind of our location scout and when we were shooting. So I wrote the first draft in that 2 week period because I was like, okay, like I've got 2 weeks to just kind of clear my mind. Let me just do that. And so I wrote the first draft in about 2 weeks, but then I kind of realized like I
mm,
wrote the edit. And if we were going to actually like plan and shoot this piece by piece, we'd kind of have to deconstruct a script. Because one of the things I noticed in other kind of fake documentaries or faux documentaries, not quite mockumentaries, but like fake documentaries, was that
mhm,
when people were saying the line for the edit, it kind of came off as, to me at least, canned. Like they just existed to say the line that was needed for the edit, and not like they had
mhm,
built an entire character around it. So I was like, okay, well, that's, you know, having made a number of, films and other things, I was like, okay, let me deconstruct this. So each interview was a two-camera interview that was, 10 pages long.
mhm,
I tried to give my actors enough to build full characters, and then all of the different elements of like, again, if we're doing this as a documentary about people, like they would have home movies, they would have photos, they would have, a variety of I guess just stuff they accumulated over the course of their life. So all of those things had to be created,
Yeah.
all of them had to be planned. And so our script ended up being something like 278 pages because of that. Um,
Wow. That's impressive.
right. But that was literally what it was
And
just being like
daunting too,
making
I
sure
would
we did that.
imagine. Yes, yes.
Yeah, especially when we only had like 2 months of pre-production.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
So
gosh. So
yeah.
Ryan and Sebla, with a script that was so long, and taking on your producer's hat, what were your hesitations going into it? Did you think we need to cut some of this, or there's too much here, or not enough? Or what sort of input did you have throughout the process?
Um, I'll let Sebla go on this one. I went on the last one.
Honestly, that
Yeah.
was like the length of it wasn't a concern for me.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, not the entire cast did not have the full script. Some of the cast members had the full script, which actually solved my concern, which is uh, I believe Jerry leaned on the idea of unreliable narrator,
Yeah.
as we all are unreliable narrators. And I think every
Mhm.
character in the movie, they all are unreliable narrators. They all have their own bias. So,
Absolutely.
which makes them less of types, more of characters, in my opinion. And some of the characters only knew their storyline,
Mhm.
which I believe
Oh,
is I don't know, an organic feeling to the performances.
Yeah, only 3 actors had the full script. So everyone else only just had their
that's
scenes.
that's fascinating. So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, and then it all. So maybe what was your intention with that? What did you want to achieve with only giving them pieces of the script?
I didn't want them to worry about the movie and I wanted them to just worry about their character.
I love it. That's a perfect answer.
Which immediately
Yeah.
solved my concern about length of the script.
Yes,
Right. Because I
yes.
mean, we're talking like there's like 10 pages there listing off like documents that went into the notebook or whatever, right? So like I mean it's not necessarily a,
Hmm.
a traditional script. And then I think I put together like a 45 page like story and editing guideline so that people could understand how it all fit together. I don't know if they did. And I'm sure if you went through a lot of our BTS like kind of man on the street interviews with people, they'd be like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what we're shooting. But
But we're here. Let's make it
but
happen.
we're here. Yeah. And I mean, to Sebla's credit,
Yeah.
like, what we were looking at was like, she was our casting director. So we were, again, we're sitting there looking at like 2 months of pre-production, and I think we had
Hmm.
something like 40 named cast members across 7 or 8 different time periods. So she had to put together a cast very, very, very quickly.
Oh my
Less than a
gosh.
month.
Less than a month. So let's talk about that. What were the challenges like casting this, other than the time frame? What was the process like finding the cast for Project MKHEX?
Gerald gave me the direction of find me the most watchable people. That was my direction as a casting director.
Easy enough. How hard can that be?
So easy. And
Yes, yes.
from a theater background, I love actors. I love acting. I love movies.
Mm.
Meaning, I watched thousands of reels. I reached out to multiple acting schools all around LA, asked them, send me your best.
Mhm.
Which is interesting. Fun fact, most of them did not even respond.
Oh my gosh. If they're watching this, you've missed out.
Yes.
Wasn't it
Uh,
something like 3,200 auditions?
yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
No, I
Submissions. Like,
think, yeah, I thought we had like up to like 9,000 by the end of it.
yeah, I think Team Character itself had over 5,000.
Oh, okay. Well,
And I
Yeah.
watched as many as I can. I think I watched most of them, to be honest. Um,
Oh my gosh. I
but I
can't
remember
imagine. That's a lot of
I
watching.
I didn't see for me, but I respect it. I wanted to do right by them and right by
Oh
our
yeah, of course. Hmm.
um it was very educational because when you find the right actor, oddly enough, you immediately know. I remember seeing
Mhm.
for the first time, Will Jandro.
Yes.
And his submission had two videos. Both of them were shot in an, I believe, acting class.
Hmm.
Uh, they were not from a movie. They were just, one of them was a monologue from an acting class, and the other one was a very short dialogue. But 10 seconds in, I could see he made certain choices. He blinked and he did, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I screamed and I said, I found him! I found him! This is Sean! And I started, come, you need to see it. Obviously, we had other actors auditioning for it too,
Mhm.
but they were lovely, and some of them got parts in the movie. But when you find the right actor for the role, you know it in your bones. This happened with
Yes.
most of the characters, including Tim, and of course our beloved Mama. I
Oh my
remember the
gosh.
audition.
Yes. Jennifer Lynn O'Hara is fantastic
Oh,
in the film.
yes,
Is that who you're
Gloria.
referring to? Yes. Oh, Gloria.
She
Yes.
was
She's
not, but
fantastic. Yeah.
Jennifer is the best.
Yes.
Jennifer's professionalism, discipline, her work ethic. She's one of the
It was
best
great to
actors I know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. But I do remember Ignacio Matinha, who plays our Tim.
Yes.
I remember telling Sebla, no, I don't like him. He's too pretty. Don't bring him in. And she brought him to the auditions anyways and didn't tell me.
Surprise.
Yeah, and then he just, he did the work because we knew because we had open
Yeah.
auditions. We knew we'd end up having to cast around whoever played Tim, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that they, looked and felt like a family. And
Yep.
I remember we ended up I was not going to offer Ignacio uh the role of Tim. We were going to potentially go in a different direction, but I took him out to breakfast and we had a conversation. I was like, "Oh, you understand kind of the um I guess the emotional patois that I want to like kind of explore and play with. Here's a
Hmm.
monologue, here's a 3-minute monologue. Can you come by tomorrow?" And like to his credit, he came by the next day and like wowed us. And it was like, okay, this is somebody we can trust with, a 300-page
Yeah.
script to do this.
It was meant to be.
So
The
it was, yeah, there
everyone
it was.
is flawless. Even the actors who only have small parts in the film, I think they all pulled it off so well, and it all comes together perfectly, like I said. So my question, I guess, for all of you is, what sort of, or maybe more for you, Gerald, what sort of advice do you give to actors when they are acting but not acting as if, how do I say this? They're in a fake documentary, right? So they don't want to seem like actors, they want to seem real. So how do you sort of give them guidance on that fake, authentic feel that works so well in your movie? I don't know if I'm describing it right. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, and I don't know if this is a satisfying answer, but you have to have kind of an understanding of each actor and
Hmm.
their experience and their training and kind of who they are a little bit. And you have to have a pretty quick understanding of all of those things pretty, quickly. Like we were lucky enough to build in some rehearsal ahead of time, so I could get to know them a little bit before we went in to shoot. But
Okay.
some actors, it's like you have to walk them through things because they that's their process, and other actors they don't need you to walk them through. You just need to tell them like one or two words. And some actors, they want you to walk them through, but it's better for you to not walk them through or tell them anything. And then you can
Yeah.
use that kind of frustration. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes, because I mean, at the end of the day, like being an actor is tough, which is like you're there to interpret the text and embody
Hmm.
this character, but you're not in charge of what take they're using, how the film is going to come together and all those things. And
Right.
honestly, you don't need to understand all those things. I don't think, but like some actors do. They feel that they need to know that. And I mean, we were playing
Hmm.
around with different things where we were, again, for the interviews, we were doing two camera interviews, and I gave the actors wildly different direction for each take that we then blended together in post to kind of create this feeling, this as part of like the overall cumulative effect of being like, who's lying, who's not. We don't quite know what's going on. Um,
And
because you're not
even
getting
even when you
necessarily a single stake.
yeah, and even when you think you know what's going on, then it sort of flips again, and you don't really know what's going on. I don't want
Right.
to spoil anything, but I love sort of the open-ended nature of various aspects in your film.
Thank you.
Um, let's talk a little bit about post-production because there are some really sort of mind-bending, trippy elements to your film, especially in the final act. What was it like filming and not filming, but editing all of that together and adding in those effects, let's say? And what was your involvement with all of that?
Um, I mean, it's been a long process because we shot this in the fall
And
of
you mentioned,
2019.
yes, okay. Was that
So
pre-COVID? Everything filmed before
pre-COVID,
COVID
right
shut
before
everything
COVID,
down? Okay. Well,
Just
that's
before.
we
fortuitous.
just we started editing right before COVID. So COVID plus the nature of the
Yeah.
film
Everything changed. Yeah.
took a while. It took us a year to just edit the film, and
Mm.
then another year of VFX, and then another year of sound and color and music and everything else to kind of put it together. And then another 2 years to get distribution, year, 2 years to get distribution because
Wow.
of the post-COVID, um, I guess, kind of media environment, as well as, the strikes.
Well,
So,
we were
no,
also
go
trying
ahead.
we were trying to shop it around quietly because
Right.
uh, we didn't want word to get out. Like this was supposed to be a a found footage, and um, we wanted to protect the integrity of that. So it took us a while to
Mhm.
find people that would connect us to the right people. To like, do you understand how hard it is to sell something that you can't talk about?
Right.
Very difficult to sell a secret movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right.
I want to say for Gerald, Gerald had been in the editing room and with the movie every day, every step of the way, all those years.
Mm.
Gerald was
Yes.
entirely still directing during post-production. Ryan and we were also involved for every every new edit, every time we gave our feedback, we were uh, during sound too and VFX, we were involved, but Gerald was there every day, every step of the way for years.
Yeah, we acted more of like a bounce board for Gerald. Um,
Yes,
as producers, it was really important for us to protect the spaces of the people that we worked with, and not just director, but department heads, post production personnel, and
Mhm.
to preserve the artistic integrity of a creative, you have to give them that space, and so that's more what Sebla and I did during post while Gerald was doing everything creative. You
Yes.
saw it was a lot.
Well, yeah. No,
exactly.
it's
Yeah. I mean, it
and with
was it was definitely teamwork. Like our editor Alex Sagamelis was a huge part of that. So,
mm.
um, you know, still to this day is a huge part of that. So,
Well, and with COVID starting, we couldn't go anywhere, so maybe the timing was right for you to do some editing during
yeah,
that. Do you think?
yeah,
I mean,
we all lived together out in Coachella Valley while we were putting together the
yeah.
first draft because we were like, okay, like
Oh, that's
COVID, like
awesome.
we didn't want to be
Hmm.
in Los Angeles, and so we made some kind of predictions, and we're like, okay, I know that they're probably going to cancel Coachella, so maybe we can get a deal, and so we ended up living out out there for like, a good 5 or 6 months to get the kind of bones of the film. Because I mean, we shot this on 17 different cameras, the just
Yeah.
getting these multi-camera sequences and other things to work. I mean, you know, Alex did some magic trying to make that, just happen. Um,
Mm.
so because then because a lot of editing is just finessing like these very like subtle things, but then if you're doing it and having to build, I'm having one camera look this way and another camera look this way, or like six cameras together, you can't just to build that infrastructure before
Mm.
you can even like start finessing because it feels right. Or if I tweak this thing in minute, 45, it makes this thing in somehow in minute 15 play a little better. Or if I, vice versa,
Mm.
like, that kind of subtle stuff took a while to even do that because we were having to, build out of again 17 different cameras, like a project like that.
Oh my gosh. Do you know how much raw footage you had to deal with? Approximately. I don't want to
I
cause
don't know.
anxiety dreams. You know,
I
must have
don't
been
know.
a lot. Okay, okay. Um, I have to ask this. So there's a lot of artifacts in the film, like notebooks, pictures, drawings, added clips. How did you create all of that? Who created all of those notebooks and drawings? I mean, just out of curiosity. Um,
Butler.
I mean, so our prop
he
master
did it.
Nick
Okay,
Butler
okay.
did the like. So I designed and wrote out like
Mhm.
what part of the notebook should be like in Photoshop, and then he
Okay,
ran
okay.
with that. There was
Mm.
some of it in the script kind of being like, okay, I need like this many like hero pages or whatever that we can build from. So it actually took a couple rounds of the notebook, one during production and then one after production where it's like, okay, we need a little bit more. Um,
Okay.
and then for the drawings, I mean, I think we had something like 30 different people make those, including,
Contributing.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sebla's
yeah.
sister Nita did a good portion of them, as well as our production designer, Jessica Cole and her father.
Mm.
But there's a lot of, I mean, we tried to get a lot of like different drawings where it's like, okay, this is what the dream sequence is. These are the prompts. Can you give us a different drawing for each prompt? And then if you do one series, can you do another series as if somebody else drew it? This and that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, they it all seems so authentic. You could tell that someone took a lot of time to meticulously make sure that they look as good as they do. So, I wanted to ask, I guess, a shout out to everyone involved who worked on all the artifacts. Um, I like to ask if you could describe your film using other films, so like Alien meets Predator. What films would you all choose? Doesn't have to be just two.
I'll go last.
You'll go
you'll
last.
go
Okay.
last. See, I only can come up with like really ridiculous answers to that
Oh
question
gosh, I love
that
it though.
just
Come
don't.
on. Go for it.
It's The Land Before Time 6 meets The Pianist meets
Oh
Return
my,
of the Jedi.
I did not expect that. Oh my gosh. I would throw an Event Horizon in there. I think there's some
Yes.
some elements of that. All of the above.
I
What
mean, like I
about?
said, to me it's like kind of a ridiculous thing. I mean, we had
Of
like
course. Mm.
I gave everyone like 180 something influences of different things that went into it. Um,
Mm.
because I think at the end of the day, when you're making something, you're you're retelling stories you love in your way, and there's always going to be little things you take from other places, so you might as well just be like honest about it, because at the end of the day, you're
Of
going to
course.
reinterpret it anyways.
Mm.
I
Sebla,
don't know,
Ryan,
Ryan.
do you have? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's the Blair Witch meets Stranger Things on acid.
Absolutely.
My more logical answer was going to be something in between My Dear Zachary meeting Blair Witch, but now I just want to say American Pie.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All of these movies, right?
Yeah.
So watch
I
watch
mean,
Project MKHEX. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's just funny. It's because like one of the actual key influences was this actual found footage film that
Mhm.
I caught in either 2013 or 2014 on the internet, and it was only there for a week and then it was gone. And in the intervening years, every now and then it pops up because it's not a authorized found footage film. Somebody just made it and uploaded it onto the internet, which is I think is called the $50 million question. And it's about why
Oh.
Dave Chappelle quit the Chappelle show and
Mm,
his falling out with his writing partner at the time, Neil Brennan. And somebody had actually pieced together all these different little podcast interviews and inside the actor's studio and little DVD featurettes and other things to pull out and tell the story
Hmm.
about the death of this writing partnership and why it led to the death of a show at the height of its popularity. And so that was a key influence into like this because I watched it and then I went to go send it to somebody else like a couple days later and it was gone. It was
It
taken
was
down
gone. Yeah.
because it was probably like a
Mhm.
copyright check. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And so every now and then, I'd go to look for it and sometimes it would be there and sometimes it wouldn't. But that was definitely a key influence in this.
Oh, I
And
love
of
that.
course, like
That's
Sebla said,
intriguing. Yeah.
Dear Zachary. I mean, Dear Zachary,
Mm.
if you haven't seen that documentary, it's a devastating documentary.
I have not.
Um,
Okay.
but a lot of the attention of that documentary is on the story, the personal story, and rightfully so. But as a filmmaker, the filmmaker who made it, Kurt Kenny, um,
Mm.
I don't think he's given enough credit in terms of his artistic style and other things. And like, so that's definitely something that I'm sure had like, I know it had an impact on what we were doing and was something we talked about a lot and reference in addition to, other films like Tarnation and then books like House of Leaves, which I don't even know if you would call that horror, but it could be horror. It's definitely has an uncanny feeling about
Yeah. Gosh, I love all the movies you just listed in examples. I'm still processing it. Any other movies? Gosh, I don't know what comes to mind. Anyway, I do want to get to this or that questions, which I mentioned before we started recording. But before we do that, I have a general question for all of you. What was the biggest challenge working on Project MKHEX, and what was the most rewarding aspect of your involvement with this film?
it. You guys
right.
go first.
Okay.
Your
Um,
question.
No pressure.
Fitting all of it into, I mean, we had stunts with kids, VFX, uh, you know, glass, uh, process trailers, a car crash, um, the whole thing was challenging. From beginning to finish. It was really a like a 4 year long marathon. Um, to be honest, looking back, and this is probably the first time I'm having this kind of reflection, there wasn't a single time that any of us was taking a nap. I mean, Sebla was trying to help AD department as much as possible. I was line producing, production managing, transportation coordinating, and driving. And somehow we got it in the can. It was great. I mean, we did it safely and legally and by the books. Um,
Well, that's good.
but yeah, it was from start to finish. This was one of the most challenging things I've done in my life. I'd definitely do it again because I love a challenge and I'm just weird like that. But yeah, sorry. I wish I could give more of a concrete, specific answer, but
I think that's perfect. What was most rewarding though? What was not as
ah,
challenging?
the family, the people we met along the
Connections.
way.
Yeah.
It, it was just like we had after 6 weeks of shooting, we were so ingrained within each other. Like we had no budget, so we were all. Well, I
Mm,
mean, we had a budget, but it was we just we weren't doing it for a paycheck. We were doing it because we wanted to do something crazy. And I mean, I just got done working with Ignacio on a shoot yesterday. We wrapped last
mm.
night. So uh, but like yeah, the family. It's the family.
Awesome. I love that. Good
Thank you,
answer.
Rochelle.
Yeah. Sebla,
I'm
do you want
sorry.
to take the same question? What was most challenging and what was most rewarding?
Yes, actually, I wanted to add to Ryan's. We had forest locations while LA forests were on fire.
I remember that.
Oh, yes. I bet that was a challenge
We
and
also lost
scary.
yes, we also lost a picture car in the fires. Do I remember correctly? A minivan.
Yeah, we did.
Um, that was a challenge.
Oh my gosh.
But we tried to run our set very equally and fairly. We wanted to nurture a very collaborative environment. So
Mhm.
we tried the all favorite nations.
Most
Uh, I'm sorry?
most favored nations.
Thank you. Most favored nations. Thank you. So basically, we try to pay everyone the same rate.
Oh,
And you worked more, you made more. So I agree with Ryan about people. We did it because we wanted to do something crazy.
mhm.
And I think that was the most rewarding part.
I love that too. Gerald, how about you? What would you add?
Um, I think the most challenging part for me at least was just the amount of time from start to finish. Um, you know, Production was definitely
Mm,
challenging, but it was really, I guess I learned a lot about patience. I feel like the last 5, 6 years, however long it's taken, has been a marathon of sprints. So really kind of trying to understand and learning because like for me, like making this stuff is not necessarily about the end product or anything like that. Like the end product is a goal that informs the process, but the process is why I do it and why a lot of us do it because we enjoy the process and learn more
mhm,
about myself as a person through the process. And I've learned a lot about patience and resilience and teamwork. And I that while that's the most challenging part of all this, it's also been the most rewarding for me because I've learned so much um, through that process of making
mm,
this.
mm.
And the funny thing about it is all the lessons we've learned on this one might not necessarily apply to the next one, but we get to constantly keep learning every time we do this. And
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, agreed. Uh, Watching your film, it's obvious and apparent that a lot of effort, care, and love went into it. So again, just congratulations to you all on creating a fantastic, unique, and original film. And I hope our chat today gets even more viewers and more attention because it certainly deserves it. Um, so with that, actually, yeah. Actually, I do want to ask, would you ever do a sequel? Would you ever return to Project MKHEX in some way, or are you mentally done with it at this point?
We have two sequels sketched out, so it really depends on
Fantastic.
if people keep watching the movie and there's a hankering for a sequel. Yeah, we got
Yes.
those ready
Oh, I love
you
that.
know, ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it happens. I think there's so much more you could do with the concept that you've created. But anyway, let's jump right into this or that. So this segment is kind of fun. Basically, I throw out two things. You pick one or the other. Usually, there's no right or wrong answer and no pressure. So let's go. In order, maybe we could do Gerald, Sebla, and Ryan if that works, just so keep things moving. So the first one is a movie. I have 12 Monkeys or Tenet, Christopher Nolan's film.
12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys.
Oh, 12 monkeys.
12 Monkeys, yeah. Same
12
with
months.
you. 12 Monkeys, okay. Casual dining or fast casual?
I guess fast casual.
It's easier.
Casual dining.
Casual dining, yeah.
Fast casual.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Let's see. Urban Legend Part 1 or Urban Legend Part 2, the final cut. If
Oh,
you're
I've only
if
seen I think I've only
if
seen
you've
the
seen
first
those
one.
films.
So I think I have to go by default with the first one because I haven't seen the second one.
So maybe there is a right or wrong answer with this. I joke. The sequel's pretty good. Sebla, what would you say?
Well, then I will cheat and I will go with the second one.
There you go.
Urban Legend.
The
First
first
one.
one. Okay, okay. Let's see. Kind of a fun one. New York style pizza or Chicago deep dish?
Chicago, 100%.
New York.
Chicago. Absolutely. Like
Yeah. Uh, guess
that's
it
a
depends
thought.
on the mood. Okay, I've got some sort of fake documentaries here. Sacrament or The Endless, the Benson and Moorhead film.
Hmm.
I've only seen The Endless, so The Endless.
Okay.
Endless. The endless, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I This is why we work so good as a team. The endless.
The Endless. There you go. Yes. Sacrament. I mean, Sacrament's worth seeing. It's about like the Jonestown murders, loosely
Fun.
based on that.
Oh.
There's a documentary crew that goes in, and not everybody makes it out alive. And I'll leave it at that. Um,
Oh.
Zombies or vampires?
Ooh,
Hmm. Vampires.
Okay,
vampires, always.
Yeah. Vampires.
vampires. Wow, you guys are all in lockstep.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, because it's like I don't know. I mean, anyways, longer response to that is kind of like, well, like most
yeah.
zombies versus something like what
Mhm.
was that Wes Craven movie with Bill Pullman? There was the uh
Uh,
like that one is more about zombies, I feel like, than most zombie movies are about zombies. The Serpent and the Rainbow, I think is what it's called.
oh yes, yes.
Right. Like that one's actually about zombies. Everything
That's
else is
great.
about like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But that's me
Yes,
being
that's a
super
smart
pedantic.
smart zombie. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I love that film. Um, all right, where am I? Event Horizon or In the Mouth of Madness?
Event
Oh.
Horizon.
Hmm.
Pass.
Pass. Okay.
And that's a hard question. They're two very different movies wrapped in like a thick lore.
Mhm.
Um, I'd have to say overall Event Horizon just because of all the other things included in that film that are just amazing. Like the production design, modeling,
So
art
good. Yeah.
after
Mhm.
Notre Dame, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
I'm with you on that. And all that lost footage, unfortunately, that we'll never
Mm,
get to see, that was
right.
destroyed.
Yeah.
Although In the Mouth of Madness deserves credit too. It's a good one. Um, let's
It's a
see.
great one.
Absolutely. Would you rather be lost at sea or lost in a forest? Guess it's
Forest.
kind of lose lose, but forest.
Forest.
Oh yeah, Forest. I've been out to sea too many times.
Not out to sea. Okay.
I was in the
Let's
Navy
see.
for 11 years. I'm done with sea.
You're done with that. Makes sense. Makes sense, man. Let's see. Two movies here: Color Out of Space or The Faculty. Some
Oh,
sci-fi.
come on.
H.P. Lovecraft.
I mean, I'm gonna go with The Faculty just because,
Okay,
the impact it had on me as a kid. Like I thought The Faculty,
for
like it
sure.
blew my mind when I first saw it, and I thought it was,
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Like, but I love The Color Out of Space too. It's just, I feel like with these answers you have to
Yeah,
go with your gut, right? Like, what's the first one?
exactly. Don't overthink it, right?
Right.
Faculty.
That's good.
Yeah, The Faculty. It's like the American Pie of horror movies.
That holds up well too. Just a few more. Um, I've got some authors here: Jack Ketchum or Dean Koontz.
Pass.
Pass. Neither.
Hilarious.
No.
All right.
I'll go Dean.
Pass.
Sorry, but like, no.
Pass across the board. Okay, okay. Let's see. Two more questions. Strange Days, if you've seen it, or Minority Report.
Minority Report just for the entire eyeball sequence.
Mm, yeah,
That
that was
entire
good.
eyeball sequence is like incredible filmmaking to me.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
mean, nothing against Strange Days, though. Strange Days is great. It's just that
Mhm.
eyeball sequence is fantastic.
You were talking about the scene in the bathtub?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, and like, that overhead shot going. I mean, the
Yeah,
entire sequence is in the fridge and
unbelievable. Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, Minority Report for entirety of it. I think it's a
For all that.
fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta go with Minority Report. Strange Days is like the grunge version of it. But
Yeah, that's a good way to
yeah,
describe it. Yeah, yeah. All right. Last one. Halloween 1978 or Jaws.
Jaws, because of the USS Indianapolis
Mm.
scene.
Jaws.
Jaws, especially because of the shark thing not working and us losing a van. It,
Yeah, shit happens, right? All right, awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you all for joining me today to talk about your new film, Project MKHEXE. It's streaming now if you haven't seen it. If you are watching, like and subscribe because it helps our channel. And lastly, how can folks find you all on social media if you want to be found?
I'm at RYBINZ on Instagram.
Excellent.
I'm at Sebla.Demi.
And I'm at GR Waddell, WADDELL on Instagram.
Awesome. I will flash that on the screen. Gerald, Sebla, and Ryan, thank you again. This has been awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.
Thank you for having us, Aaron.
Of course. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
You did it! You did it! Cut! Cut. And then...
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get it so that it's.
Would it make more sense if it was upside down?
Don't they do that? That's another thing.
Okay.
Dribble bits.
Wow.
Great. Great. Push him. Get him out. Okay. Come up a little bit more. Doctors.
What's been bothering me is why you arranged the bodies.
Make this for me?
Talk.
That's gonna be.
Okay.
Three, go, go, go.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Travel.
Come on!
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, in the door.
Urban legends are contagious. These are stories that happen to a friend of a friend, or in the next town over, making them feel real and truthful. But more often than not, they aren't.
Cut. So look, I think before you start there, I would like you actually to start here, and I'd like to see you start this. Okay? So when I say like action, what we'll do is have.
Okay. Urban legends are contagious. These are stories that happen to a friend of a friend, or in the next town over, making them feel real and truthful. But more often than not, they aren't.
Great. Alright. Let's move on to the next one over here.
Alright, moving on.
You guys are idiots and you're blind and you're in on it! No! Get out!
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, like just like trying to take a picture. Yeah, exactly. That's great.
No, that's fine.
Is that a 90s camera?
Sir, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Which would be exactly.
Action! Play! Static! No! God, please! Knees! Ah! 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 Worth it. Police officers 1. Can I see your soldier look? Now hold the gun. Hold the gun with both. Yeah, now look like a soldier. Here. If you put your hand right here, that'll look. Now, go down on your knee and look around. Like angry. Let me see your angry face. Merrick is gonna walk down looking for soldiers, and then every time he passes a tree, you guys are each gonna be hidden behind a tree, and you're gonna come out as soon as you see him pass you. And then we're gonna walk basically past the cameras. So, and you're all gonna be looking around for like enemies. Okay?
Am I allowed to do like somersault?
Somersault? I don't think it'd be safe to do that here, but it's cool. You're all on the same team.
Yeah.
We're gonna do smiles first.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, smile. Yay! We're gonna do one with that flash. 1, 2, 3, smile. Yay! Let's do creepy.
He hits me, you know, like, yeah, so he, boom, right there, okay? And then basically I'm taking it, you know, the meaty part, probably the meatiest part of our body, butt cheek right here, you know? Proper terminology is glute.
To complete this game.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, you can play at this game.
Zoom.
No.
When I do the actual thing, we're running the. Hear alien voice. So you remember your lines?
Well, let me see.
And then you struggle for the gun. You know, you're out of your restraints already. Like I would just say, because you're out of the force field. And then grab the gun, and then you guys are struggling for a bit. And then eventually the gun goes off, and I would say hard to, and then he comes at you, and you push him back down. But, yeah.
So let's gotta move back before I can move back.
Let's have. I need you guys to move this way a little bit.
I like the.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Let me see, split the difference. This is good. That's right there. Oh my god. Goodness gracious, guys.
It's not shouting.
Help.
Whack.
Oh shit, are you okay?
You're a little late.
Damn.
As you turn up, he turns.
No.
He attacks.
Speeding. Okay, scene DF 360, take 1, C mark. E mark.
Speed.
A mark.
Okay, this is one kid.
Yes, just letting you know.
That's pretty. Can we make it seem then like okay? Because here's the issue. The kid, like, so she's filmed. The stuff we're gonna film later with the trash kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So she's cleaned up.
Yes.
So whatever's here. I like how you played it, but I want to see if we can get like a little more light, a little maybe. Yeah.
When you lean back. So Bree, if I could have a little, you see where that, see where the lights, yeah. You got it back.
Oh yeah.
That was the other thing, is like coming in here for like I'm trying to choke him and he's pushing me off, because then he could kind of hold me off and we could have that struggle going.
Okay, cool. My blood is pumping. I think I have a stroke. Yeah, that works.
Oh, great. If you want to flip. 2, 3, go. That sounded great. All right, let's slate.
Is that it?
That's where you end up, but where you begin is him body blocking you there. Yeah, and then he'll switch you over.
450, take 1. He's stomping his elbow. You know what to do? Grab. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are you okay? Yes, sir. So the more you cheat here, and the whole like, elbows a little extended.
Gotcha. So hit more with the hips.
Yeah. And butt cheek.
I want to make sure of this when he comes and do it. I want to get the read on
Feel any better?
What the fuck? What the fuck is going on?
I still want him to be in position before the rise starts.
Sure, but this is the first time I've actually seen a rise happen on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going in the right direction. That was great. 3, 2, 1, action!
Keep your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes closed. Cover your ears,
What do
okay?
you mean? Why do I have? So basically, because there are 3 lines, when I see it, I say that and the patients these foods, I celebrate finding it.
And then you
And I
So what?
Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Cool. Great.
Yeah,
Give me your marker. Basically right here. Reach in and take off.
That might be a good
And then this way it'll all be nice.
Okay.
Oh, no, don't from here.
No, we can.
Sorry. So Zach, it might be more like 6. We're gonna have to secure that dolly on. Once that's up, floor is all yours.
So.
Alright, you'll come, motherfucker.
God.
Just sit here and judge. Hey! Hey! Alright, let's add the last few pieces. Tape's coming, tape's coming.
I am. I'm on 7. Hi, Harry. What's up?